Exactly. Peace through superior firepower, as the old saying goes. 6 months later, Admiral Lisa Martinez stood in her new office aboard the USS Diplomat, flagship of humanity's interstellar mediation fleet. Through her window, she could see the formerly disputed systems that were now joint economic development zones, with human corporations managing the resource extraction that both alien species had been fighting over. Dr. Collins entered with a report. 3 more species have requested human mediation for their territorial disputes. The Andromedan Council wants us to arbitrate their trade disagreement with the Centauri Federation. And our intelligence operations? Lisa asked, proceeding smoothly. Every diplomatic mission continues to gather information about potential threats and weaknesses. The galaxy is becoming a much more peaceful place now that everyone knows the price of rejecting human mediation. Commander Thompson joined them, carrying news from Earth Command. The Zephyrian Empire has formally requested human military advisors to help them develop new tactical doctrines. They want to learn how to win wars without fighting them. And the Vortani? They're sharing their advanced computing technology. In exchange for lessons in creative problem-solving and independent thinking, apparently they've decided that individual consciousness isn't as terrifying as they thought. Lisa smiled as she looked out at the stars. They're learning. Slowly, but they're learning. A communication alert sounded, and Rodriguez's voice came through the speakers. Admiral, we're receiving a priority message from the Galactic Council. They want to officially recognize humanity as the primary peacekeeping force for this sector of space. Accept the recognition, Lisa replied, and prepare our diplomatic teams for their next assignments. She turned back to her officers. Any word from our deep space scouts? Several new species have been contacted, reported Collins. First contact. Protocols are proceeding normally, and our infiltration drones are already mapping their technology and psychology. Good. Have we learned anything interesting? Thompson consulted his datapad. One species seems particularly aggressive. They call themselves the Hegemony of Worlds, and they've been making threatening statements about inferior species that need to be properly managed. Lisa nodded. Schedule a diplomatic mission, full cultural exchange, complete with gifts and tours of their facilities. The usual intelligence-gathering operation? Asked Chen. Of course. But this time, make sure. Our diplomatic team includes some of our most genuine peacekeepers. I want their desire for non-violent solutions to be absolutely authentic. And if the negotiations fail? Asked Collins. Lisa looked out at the peaceful shipping lanes where Zephyrian and Vortani vessels now traveled together under human protection. Then they'll learn the same lesson everyone else has learned. The most dangerous species in the galaxy isn't the one that threatens you with war. It's the one that offers you peace while holding all the cards. She activated her communication system to address the entire fleet. All ships, this is Admiral Martinez. We have new diplomatic assignments. Remember, our mission is to bring peace to the galaxy. Sometimes that means negotiations. Sometimes it means showing potential aggressors what happens when humans stop being diplomatic. The communication ended, and Lisa returned to her reports. Somewhere across the galaxy, another species was about to receive an invitation to peace. Talks. They would probably dismiss the humans as weak, primitive creatures who didn't understand real power. They would learn, just like all the others. After all, humanity had become very good at teaching that particular lesson. Error. Error. Illogical data stream. Zack repeated over and over as his mind tried to understand a sonnet by Shakespeare that was being forced into his consciousness alongside a jazz improvisation and a abstract painting. Hive speaker, the A. Collective is fragmenting, reported one of his technicians. Individual consciousness units are rejecting the network. Impossible. Vortani do not function as individuals. They do now. The network contamination is forcing them to think independently. Lisa opened communication channels to both fleet commanders. Their faces appeared on the main screen, Krex snarling with rage and confusion, Zack twitching as his compound eyes reflected the chaos in his mind. War Commander Krex, Hive Speaker Zack, Lisa said calmly. I believe you both owe humanity an apology. What have you done to our ships? Krex demanded. You destroyed our civilians, Lisa replied. You called our diplomacy weakness. You said we were too primitive to understand real power. Impossible, said Zack, his voice distorted by the chaos in the collective network. Human technology is inferior. This cannot be human work. Lisa smiled. You're right. This isn't human technology you're seeing. This is human strategy. We've been inside your ships for weeks, learning everything about you, every system, every weakness, every point of failure. That's impossible, Krex roared. Our security is perfect. Your security was designed to stop enemies who think like you, Lisa explained. You never considered that humans might be creative enough to build infiltration systems smaller than molecules. You dismissed us as primitive, so you never looked for advanced technology. Dr. Collins appeared beside Lisa on the communication screen. War Commander, our analysis shows that Zephyrian culture values strength above all else. So we used your own strength against you. Your powerful weapons are now targeting your own ships. And Hive Speaker, she continued, Vortani civilization depends on logical collective thinking. So we introduced chaos into your perfect order. Your greatest asset has become your greatest liability. Both alien commanders stared at the human, officers in shock and growing fear. You mocked human diplomacy, Lisa said. You laughed at our desire for peace, but you never asked the right question. Why would a species that survived nuclear war, climate disasters, and centuries of conflict suddenly become pacifists? She leaned forward. We didn't become weak. We became smart enough to win wars before they start. The communication channels filled with static as both alien fleets continued to tear themselves apart, their own technology turned against them by an enemy they had never seen coming. The battle ended not with explosions, but with silence. Both alien fleets hung motionless in space, their crews trapped aboard ships that no longer obeyed their commands. The mighty Zephyrian dreadnought Dominator's Fang drifted helplessly, its weapon systems locked in an endless diagnostic loop. The Vortani flagship Convergence node broadcast nothing but static as its collective consciousness struggled to reboot. Captain Lisa Martinez stood on the bridge of the USS Liberty, watching the aftermath of the most one-sided victory in galactic history. Two of the most powerful military forces in known space had been defeated without humanity firing a single shot. Both fleets are completely disabled, reported Chief Mike Chen. Their crews are alive but helpless. Every computer system on every ship is under our control. Are they trying to send distress signals? Lisa asked. Lieutenant Sam Rodriguez checked his monitors. They're trying, but we're controlling their communications. Any message they attempt to send gets routed through our systems first. Dr. Amy Collins studied the psychological readings from both fleets. Morale has collapsed completely. The Zephyrians can't understand how their warrior technology failed them. The Vortani are experiencing what they would call logic errors as they try to process their defeat. Lisa activated the communication system. War Commander Krex, Hive Speaker, Zach. I believe we need to talk. The main screen split to show both alien commanders. Krex looked like a broken creature, his proud warrior bearing replaced by confusion and something that might have been fear. Zach's compound eyes flickered, randomly as his damaged neural connections struggled to maintain coherent thought. What do you want from us? Krex asked, his voice barely above a whisper. The same thing I wanted 3 weeks ago, Lisa replied. Peace. You have destroyed our fleets, said Zach, his computer-generated voice filled with static. This is not peace. This is conquest. Your fleets destroyed themselves, corrected Dr. Collins. We simply removed your ability to harm innocent civilians. Your ships are intact. Your crews are unharmed. But your capacity for war has been neutralized. Lisa leaned forward. Now we can have the conversation we should have had at Nexus Prime. But this time the terms will be different. Commander Jake Thompson activated a holographic display showing the current situation. Both alien fleets were completely helpless, surrounded by their own weapons that were now under human control. Here are humanity's conditions for peace, Lisa began. First, immediate cessation of all hostilities between Zephyrian and Vortani forces. Second, formal recognition of human space as neutral territory that will never be violated. Third, reparations for the civilian transport New Boston and the 300 lives lost. And if we refuse? Krex asked. Chief Chen smiled. Your ships will remain under our control indefinitely. Your crews will be fed and cared for, but they'll never be able to return home. Eventually, both your civilizations will have to accept that their most powerful fleets simply vanished during a battle with each other. Or, added Rodriguez, you can agree to our terms and return home as the leaders who prevented a catastrophic war between your peoples. Hive Speaker Zach's damaged voice crackled through the speakers. How is this possible? Human technology should not be capable of such sophisticated cyber warfare. Dr. Collins pulled up technical displays. You made 2 crucial mistakes. First, you assumed that because our ships look simple, our technology must be primitive. Second, you confused our desire for peace with an inability to wage war. Humans have been fighting wars for thousands of years, explained Lisa. We've learned that the most effective battles are the ones your enemy doesn't realize they're fighting until it's too late. Your nanoscale infiltration systems, said Zach. How long have you possessed this technology? Long enough, replied Chen. We've been preparing for potential conflicts with advanced alien civilizations since first contact. Every diplomatic mission, every cultural exchange, every peace negotiation has also been an intelligence-gathering operation. War Commander Krex raised his head, some of his old pride returning. You used our honor against us. You made us believe you were weak and helpless. We used your arrogance against you, Lisa corrected. You were so convinced of your own superiority that you never considered that humans might be playing a deeper game. The truly impressive part, added Dr. Collins, is that every member of the human diplomatic corps genuinely wanted peace. Our desire for non-violent solutions wasn't fake. It was the perfect cover for our intelligence operations. Lisa stood up. But make no mistake, we would have preferred to solve this through diplomacy. When you chose violence, when you murdered innocent civilians, you forced us to show you what human weakness really looks like. The communication channel was quiet for several minutes as both alien commanders considered their situation. Their fleets were helpless, their crews were trapped, and their civilizations were waiting for news of a victory that would never come. Finally, War Commander Krex spoke. "What assurance do we have that you will honor your agreement? How do we know you won't keep our ships as prisoners forever?" "Because," said Lisa, "humans keep their promises. When we say we want peace, we mean it. When we offer terms, we honor them. That's why our diplomacy works, and why our warfare is so effective." Commander Thompson brought up a new display showing shipping routes and trade agreements. "We're not interested in conquest or subjugation. We want stable, peaceful relationships with our neighbors. But those relationships have to be based on mutual respect." "Respect," repeated Zack, the word sounding strange in his computer-generated voice. "You called us primitive biologicals," said Dr. Collins. "You dismissed our technology as inefficient and obsolete. You thought our desire for peace made us weak. Now you know better." Lisa looked at both alien commanders. "So what will it be? Do you accept our terms for peace?" The two aliens looked at each other across the communication link. For the first time since the war began, they were united in something: their complete defeat at the hands of a species they had underestimated. "The Zephyrian Empire accepts your terms," said Krex, his warrior pride finally broken. "The Vortani Collective also accepts," added Zack. "Excellent," said Lisa. "Chief Chen, begin the process of returning control of their ships, but leave the monitoring systems in place." "Monitoring systems?" asked Krex. "Our nanoscale infiltrators will remain in your computer networks," explained Chen. "Think of them as peacekeeping devices. As long as both your civilizations honor the peace agreement, they'll remain dormant. But if either of you decides to violate the terms, our ships will turn against us again," Zack finished. "All systems ready, Captain," reported Chief Mike Chen. His fingers moved over controls that Lisa had never seen before. Hidden panels had opened throughout the bridge, revealing equipment that looked far more advanced than anything she thought. The ship carried. "The target fleets are fully engaged with each other," said Lieutenant Sam Rodriguez. "Both sides are completely focused on the battle. They won't notice our attack until it's too late." Dr. Amy Collins monitored displays showing the psychological state of both alien crews. Stress levels are high on both sides. They're operating at maximum combat efficiency, which means they're not watching for external threats. Lisa took a deep breath. "Begin Operation Ghost Protocol." Chief Chen's hands moved across his controls. "Activating dormant infiltration systems. Phase 1 complete. Phase 2 beginning now." Across space, millions of nanoscale machines that had been sleeping inside alien computer systems suddenly came to life. They were so small that no scanner could detect them, but together they formed the most powerful hacking network ever created. The first target was the Zephyrian flagship, the massive dreadnought Dominator's Fang. War Commander Krex stood on his bridge, roaring orders at his crew as they fired their main guns at the Vortani swarm ships. "Destroy them all!" Krex shouted. "Show these computer-minded insects what real warriors can do." But even as he spoke, his ship's navigation system was being quietly rewritten. The nanoscale infiltrators worked faster than any alien programmer could imagine, changing code and redirecting data flows throughout the ship's computer network. "War Commander," said one of his officers, "we're getting strange readings from the navigation system." "Fix it quickly," Krex snarled. "We cannot show weakness in battle." But the navigation system was beyond fixing. The human viruses had already taken control, and they were designed to adapt faster than any repair attempts. Every time the Zephyrian technicians tried to restore their systems, the viruses learned from their efforts and became stronger. On the other side of the battle, the Vortani flagship convergence node was experiencing similar problems. Hive Speaker Zach was connected to the ship's central computer through neural interfaces, coordinating the movements of hundreds of smaller vessels. Collective efficiency at maximum, Zach reported to his crew. Zephyrian formations are predictable. Victory probability increasing. But inside the ship's quantum processors, human-designed viruses were already rewriting the collective consciousness network. The Vortani's greatest strength, their shared computer mind, was becoming their greatest weakness. "Hive Speaker," said one of the Vortani technicians, "we're detecting anomalies in the collective data stream." "Impossible," Zach replied. "Our systems are perfectly integrated. Run diagnostic protocols." The diagnostic protocols ran, but they had been corrupted by the human viruses. Instead of finding problems, they reported that everything was working normally, even as the entire network was being taken over. Back on the USS Liberty, Lisa watched status displays that showed the progress of the cyber attack. Both alien fleets were being compromised simultaneously, but their crews didn't know it yet. "How long before they notice?" she asked. "The Zephyrians should see the first signs in about 30 seconds, said Rodriguez. "The Vortani will take longer because our viruses are designed to work with their collective network instead of against it." "And they won't be able to stop it?" Chief Chen shook his head. "The infiltration is too complete. Every backup system, every security protocol, every fail-safe has been compromised. They're fighting a war inside their own computers, and they don't even know the battle has started." The first sign of trouble came from the Zephyrian fleet. Several of their smaller ships began drifting out of formation as their navigation systems started displaying false coordinates. "What is happening?" War Commander Krex demanded. "Why are our ships moving incorrectly?" "Unknown, War Commander," replied his navigation officer. "The computers show we're on course, but the star positions don't match. Then override the computers. Use manual navigation." But when the Zephyrian crews tried to switch to manual control, they discovered that the human viruses had anticipated this response. The manual override systems had been reprogrammed to do the opposite of what the crew commanded. When they tried to turn left, the ships turned right. When they tried to slow down, the ships sped up. "This is impossible," Krex roared. "Our ships are not obeying our commands." The situation got worse when the weapon systems began malfunctioning. The main guns of the Dominator's Fang slowly rotated away from the Vortani fleet and began targeting other Zephyrian ships. "War Commander, our weapons are aiming at the escort vessels," shouted the weapons officer. "Then fix them," Krex commanded. "We're trying, but the targeting computers are not responding to manual input." Meanwhile, the Vortani fleet was experiencing a different kind of chaos. Their collective consciousness network, which normally allowed perfect coordination between all ships, was being flooded with false information. Hive Speaker Zach felt the disruption like physical pain as incorrect data flowed through his neural connections. Warning: network integrity compromised. Collective coherence decreasing. "What is the nature of the disruption?" asked one of his subordinates. "Unknown. The network reports normal function, but experienced reality contradicts the data. The Vortani ships, which normally moved in perfect formation like a school of fish, began moving randomly. Their advanced swarm tactics broke down as each ship received different orders from the corrupted network. Collective coordination failing, Zack reported, his voice showing strain. Individual ship consciousness emerging. This should not be possible. On the USS Liberty, Dr. Collins monitored the psychological impact of the attack. Both fleets are showing signs of panic. The Zephyrians can't understand how their perfect warrior technology is failing them. The Vortani are experiencing something, like madness, as their collective mind breaks apart. Are they trying to communicate with each other? Lisa asked. They're trying, said Rodriguez, but we've taken control of their communication systems too. Every message they send gets scrambled or redirected. They can't coordinate a response because they can't talk to each other. Lisa watched the tactical display as both alien fleets descended into chaos. Zephyrian ships were firing on each other as their weapon systems refused to obey commands. Vortani vessels were spinning helplessly as their navigation computers received conflicting instructions from the corrupted collective network. It's time for Phase 3, she said. Chief Chen nodded and activated the final stage of Operation Ghost Protocol. Beginning psychological warfare protocols. Throughout both fleets, communication systems that had been broadcasting orders and tactical data suddenly began transmitting very different messages. The Zephyrian crews heard recordings of War Commander Krex's private communications, where he called his own officers incompetent fools. The Vortani collective network was flooded with paradoxes and logical contradictions that made their computer-based thinking break down. "This is War Commander Krex," came a broadcast across all Zephyrian frequencies, but it wasn't really Krex speaking. The human viruses had taken fragments of his recorded voice and assembled them into new messages. All ships retreat immediately. Human technology is superior to ours. We surrender to the human fleet. The real Krex screamed in rage when he heard the false message. I did not say that. Someone is controlling our communications. But his crew was already in chaos, unsure which orders were real and which were fake. Tut, Vortani experienced something even worse. Their collective consciousness began broadcasting fragments of human poetry, music, and art directly into their neural interfaces. The logical, ordered minds of the Vortani couldn't process the chaotic creativity of human culture. Chief Chen activated a new set of displays. Operation Ghost Protocol has 3 phases. Phase 1 was intelligence gathering, mapping their systems and finding vulnerabilities. We completed that weeks ago. Phase 2 is network infiltration, continued Rodriguez. Our adaptive viruses are already in position throughout both fleets. They're dormant right now, but when we activate them, they'll take control of every computer system on every ship simultaneously. And Phase 3? Lisa asked. Phase 3 is making both alien fleets destroy themselves while the galaxy watches, said Dr. Collins. We're going to turn their own weapons against them. Their ships will attack each other while their crews are helpless to stop it. Lisa turned back to her crew. How is this even possible? Both species have technology that's supposed to be decades ahead of ours. Thompson smiled grimly. That's exactly why it will work, Captain. Advanced technology means complex systems. Complex systems mean more points of failure. The more sophisticated their ships are, the more ways we can break them. Plus, added Chen, they made a crucial mistake. They assumed that because our ships look simple, our computer systems must be primitive too. They never bothered to scan for quantum-level infiltration devices because they didn't think we were smart enough to build them. Rodriguez brought up a tactical display showing both alien fleets in real time. Look at their formations. The Zephyrians are arranged in standard attack patterns, just like they always are. The Vortani are using their typical swarm coordination, controlled by their central command ship. They're completely predictable, observed Dr. Collins. The Zephyrians will never change their tactics because they believe their way is the only honorable way to fight. The Vortani can't change because their entire fleet depends on their collective network. Lisa studied the displays. So we can predict exactly how they'll react to our attack? We've already run the simulations 1,000 times, said Chen. We know exactly what they'll do at every step. The Zephyrians will try to regain manual control of their ships. The Vortani will attempt to reboot their collective consciousness. Both responses will make the situation worse for them. There's something else, said Dr. Collins. Our psychological profiles show that both species have never faced an enemy that could turn their strengths into weaknesses. The Zephyrians have always won through superior firepower. The Vortani have always won through superior computing. Neither has ever fought an enemy that could make their own ships betray them. Lisa looked at each member of her crew. How long have you been planning this? Years, admitted Thompson. Ever since first contact with both species, our intelligence services identified them as potential threats to human expansion. We've been preparing for this possibility from the beginning. But we hoped it wouldn't be necessary, added Dr. Collins. If the peace talks had succeeded, we would have filed away our contingency plans and moved on. It was only when they chose violence over diplomacy that we activated Operation Ghost Protocol. Lisa thought about the 300 civilians who had died on the New Boston. They made their choice when they killed innocent people. Yes, said Rodriguez. And now they get to live with the consequences. Chief Chen brought up a countdown timer on the main display. We can begin the attack at any time, Captain. Both alien fleets are engaged in battle near the Kepler system. They're completely focused on each other and won't see us coming. How long will it take? Lisa asked. The actual cyber attack will be over in minutes, said Chen. But the psychological impact will last much longer. Both species will realize that the primitive humans just defeated two of the most powerful fleets in known space without firing a shot. Dr. Collins activated another display showing the broader galactic community. Word will spread quickly. Every species that ever dismissed humanity as weak or backward will have to reconsider. The balance of power in the galaxy is about to shift dramatically. Lisa walked back to the observation window. She could see both alien fleets in the distance, their ships locked in combat. War Commander Krex and Hive Speaker Zack probably thought they were fighting the most important battle of their lives. They had no idea that their real enemy was already inside their ships, waiting for the signal to strike. They called our diplomacy weakness, Lisa said. They said we were too primitive to understand real power. They're about to learn what real power looks like, said Thompson. Lisa turned back to her crew. These people had been playing a game so complex that she was only now beginning to understand its scope. They had turned her genuine desire for peace into the perfect cover for the most sophisticated military operation in human history. Chief Chen, she said, how many of those nanoscale drones did we deploy? Millions, Captain. They're in every system of every ship in both fleets. Navigation, weapons, life support, communications, everything is compromised. And they've been there for weeks without being detected. The drones are smaller than individual molecules, explained Rodriguez. They're powered by ambient electromagnetic energy and communicate through quantum entanglement. Neither species has sensors that can detect them. Lisa nodded slowly. So, when we activate them, both fleets will be completely under our control, finished Dr. Collins. Their own ships will become our weapons. Their own technology will become their downfall. Lisa looked at the countdown timer. How do we know this will work? Because we've tested it, said Chen. Remember that Zephyrian patrol ship that suffered mysterious system failures last month? That was us, running a small-scale test of our infiltration systems. And the Vortani scout ship that malfunctioned and started broadcasting random data, added Rodriguez. Another test. We've been refining our attack programs for weeks. Lisa felt a strange mixture of pride and fear. Her species had developed capabilities that neither of their enemies could imagine. But they had also demonstrated a level of deception and strategic thinking that was almost frightening. There's one more thing you should know, said Dr. Collins. This isn't just about stopping their war or protecting human colonies. This is about establishing humanity's position in the galactic community. What do you mean? Thompson answered. After today, no alien species will ever dismiss humanity as weak or primitive again. They'll know that when humans offer peace, the smart choice is to accept it, because the alternative is discovering what happens when humans decide to stop being diplomatic. Lisa looked out at the distant battle one more time. Give me a few minutes to think. Her crew nodded and began filing out of the briefing room. Lisa stood alone at the observation window, watching the flashes of light that marked the destruction of alien ships and the deaths of alien crews. 300 human civilians were dead because 2 alien races thought humanity was too weak to matter. Those same aliens were now about to learn that they had made the worst mistake of their lives. Lisa activated her communication system. All hands. This is the captain. Prepare to implement Operation Ghost Protocol. Full authorization. The time for diplomacy was over. Captain Lisa Martinez stood on the bridge of the USS Liberty, watching the largest battle yet between the Zephyrian and Vortani fleets. The 2 alien armadas faced each other near the disputed Kepler system, their ships arranged in the same predictable formations they always used. Neither side knew that their greatest enemy was not the fleet in front of them, but the tiny machines that had been living inside their ships for weeks. A new voice came through the speakers, crackling with static. This is Captain Murphy of the New Boston. We're surrounded by Zephyrian ships. They're powering up their weapons. We have no shields, no weapons, nothing but emergency engines. Lisa felt helpless. The USS Liberty was too far away to help, and even if they could reach the transport in time, their single diplomatic vessel couldn't fight an entire Zephyrian battle group. New Boston, try to make it to the nearest Vortani ships, she said. Maybe they'll protect you. Negative, Captain Martinez, came Murphy's reply. The Vortani ships are targeting us too. Hive speaker Zach just broadcast that we're biological contaminants that threaten their sterile battle environment. Lisa closed her eyes. Both alien races were going to destroy a helpless civilian ship just to make a point about human weakness. All hands! This is Captain Murphy, came the final transmission from the New Boston. Tell our families we made it to the stars. Tell them we were brave. The transmission cut to static. On the tactical display, a green dot that represented 300 human lives simply disappeared. Lisa stared at the empty space where the New Boston had been. Around her, the bridge was completely silent. Even the normally chattering computer systems seemed to have stopped making noise. Captain, said Commander Thompson quietly, we're receiving a priority message from Earth Command. Lisa turned to look at him. Her face felt like stone, cold and hard. Put it through. A new message appeared on her personal screen. Like the previous one, it carried the highest security codes, but this message was longer and more detailed. Captain Martinez, it began, we have received confirmation of the attack on the New Boston. Rules of engagement have changed. The gloves are off. Authorization granted for Operation Ghost Protocol. Full implementation, all systems. The message continued. Your crew has been briefed on their real mission parameters. Dr. Collins will provide you with the complete intelligence files. Chief Chen will activate all dormant systems. You are no longer operating under diplomatic protocols. The final line made Lisa's blood run cold. Show them what human weakness really looks like. Lisa looked around at her crew. They were all watching her with expressions she had never seen before. Commander Thompson looked like a soldier preparing for battle. Dr. Collins was already pulling up files that Lisa had never seen. Chief Chen was smiling again, but this time his smile reminded Lisa of a shark. Jake, she said slowly, what is Operation Ghost Protocol? Captain, Thompson replied, it's time you learned what this mission was really about, and why those aliens just signed their own death warrants. Dr. Collins stepped forward with her data pad. Lisa, everything we told you about studying alien cultures was true. But we weren't studying them to understand their art and poetry. We were looking for weaknesses, pressure points, ways to destroy them if they ever threatened humanity. And now they have, added Chief Chen. They've killed innocent civilians and declared war on human space. So now they get to learn something about human nature they didn't expect. Lisa felt like she was seeing her crew for the first time. These people she had worked with for months, people she thought she knew, were revealing sides of themselves that had been hidden from her. What exactly are you telling me? She asked. Commander Thompson straightened up. We're telling you that the peace talks were never meant to succeed, Captain. They were intelligence-gathering operations. Every handshake, every cultural exchange, every moment we spent with those aliens was an opportunity to learn how to defeat them. The USS Liberty isn't just a diplomatic vessel, said Dr. Collins. It's the most advanced intelligence platform humanity has ever built. And for the past month, we've been using it to map every weakness in both alien fleets. Chief Chen activated a display that showed technical readouts Lisa had never seen before. Those aliens think human technology is primitive and obsolete. They're about to find out how wrong they are. Lisa stared at the display, beginning to understand that everything she thought she knew about her mission had been a lie. How long have you all known about this? From the beginning, said Thompson. You were chosen precisely because you're a genuine diplomat, Captain. Your real reactions, your honest attempts at peace, made the deception perfect. The aliens never suspected that the human desire for peace could be part of a military strategy. So, while I was trying to prevent a war, Lisa said slowly, you were preparing to fight one. We were preparing to win one, corrected Dr. Collins. There's a difference. Lisa walked back to the observation window and looked out at the distant battle flashes. Somewhere in that chaos, 300 human civilians had died because 2 alien races thought humans were too weak to matter. She turned back to her crew. Show me everything. Captain Lisa Martinez sat in the main briefing room of the USS Liberty, surrounded by her senior staff. The room looked the same as always, but everything felt different now. The people she had trusted were revealing secrets that changed everything she thought she knew about their mission. Commander Jake Thompson activated a holographic display that showed detailed schematics of both alien fleets. These weren't the basic tactical reports Lisa had seen before. These were complete technical blueprints showing every system, every weakness, every point of failure in both the Zephyrian and Vortani ships. How did we get all this information? Lisa asked. Dr. Amy Collins smiled, but it wasn't the friendly smile Lisa remembered. It was the smile of someone who had been playing a much deeper game than anyone realized. During our diplomatic visits to both fleets, we weren't just exchanging cultural gifts, Dr. Collins explained. Every handshake, every tour of their ships, every meal we shared was an opportunity to deploy our intelligence gathering systems. She touched the display, and it zoomed in to show microscopic details of alien ship components. We've been developing nanotechnology for decades. Machines so small they're invisible to conventional sensors. During our visits, we released millions of these tiny devices throughout both fleets. Chief Mike Chen leaned forward. Those little machines have been quietly mapping every circuit, every computer system, every security protocol in both alien fleets. They've been sending data back to us through quantum communication channels that neither the Zephyrians nor the Vortani can detect. Lisa stared at the information streaming across the displays. You're telling me that while I was trying to negotiate peace, you were spying on both sides? We were preparing for the war that we knew was coming, said Lieutenant Sam Rodriguez. Lisa looked at him with new eyes. My linguistic abilities weren't just for translation, Captain. I've been developing computer viruses that can adapt to alien programming languages in real time. Computer viruses? Lisa repeated. Rodriguez nodded. The Zephyrians use brutal, straightforward programming. Their computers are like their warriors, strong but predictable. The Vortani use incredibly complex systems that rely on their collective consciousness network. Both approaches have fatal weaknesses. Dr. Collins pulled up another display showing psychological profiles of both alien species. My xenobiology research wasn't about understanding their culture, Lisa. It was about finding pressure points. The Zephyrians are obsessed with honor and strength. They can't handle being made to look weak or foolish. The Vortani rely completely on logic and computational thinking. They break down when faced with paradoxes or illogical situations. Lisa felt like she was seeing her crew for the first time. So everything about our diplomatic mission was fake? Not fake, said Commander Thompson. Your diplomatic efforts were real, and they were essential to the plan. We needed you to genuinely believe in the peace process because that made our cover perfect. The aliens saw your honest desire for peace and dismissed us as harmless idealists. But while they were laughing at human diplomacy, added Chief Chen, our nanoscale infiltration drones were quietly taking apart their entire technological infrastructure from the inside. Lisa walked to the observation window and looked out at the stars. In the distance, she could still see the flashes of the ongoing battle between the two alien fleets, the battle that had claimed 300 innocent human lives. Show me what we can do, she said quietly. 3 weeks had passed since the failed peace talks at Nexus Prime. Captain Lisa Martinez stood in the observation deck of the USS Liberty, watching the distant flashes of light that marked another battle between the Zephyrian and Vortani fleets. Each flash meant ships were dying, but both alien races seemed determined to fight until one side was completely destroyed. Another skirmish near the Kepler system, reported Lieutenant Sam Rodriguez from his station. That's the fourth one this week. They're getting closer to our colonies, Lisa nodded. The war that had started as a dispute over mining rights was now spreading across 3 star systems. Worse, both alien fleets were moving in directions that would bring them dangerously close to human space. Commander Jake Thompson joined her at the observation window. The brass wants us to keep monitoring from a safe distance. We're supposed to document everything we see. Document for what? Lisa asked. Both sides made it clear they don't want human help. Maybe that's the point, said Dr. Amy Collins, walking up behind them. She carried a data pad filled with her observations about the two alien races. "I've been studying their battle tactics for weeks now. I'm starting to see some interesting patterns." She activated a holographic display that showed the recent battles. "Look at how predictable they are. The Zephyrians always attack head-on with maximum force. They try to scare their enemies into giving up. The Vortani always use coordinated, swarm attacks. They rely on their computer networks to control everything." Lisa studied the display. "So they both fight the same way every time?" "Exactly," said Dr. Collins. "The Zephyrians are so proud of their warrior tradition that they can't imagine fighting any other way. The Vortani are so confident in their computers that they never consider what might happen if their networks failed." Chief Mike Chen appeared at Lisa's shoulder. He had been spending most of his time in the computer rooms, working on what he called special projects. Lisa still didn't know exactly what those projects were, but her crew seemed to understand, something she didn't. "Captain," Chen said quietly, "you might want to see this." He handed her a data pad showing intercepted communications from both alien fleets. Lisa read through the messages, her face getting darker with each line. The Zephyrian messages were full of insults about human weakness. War Commander Krex had been broadcasting on open channels, calling humans cowards who hide behind their diplomatic words. He said that once the Vortani were defeated, the Zephyrians would deal with the human problem by taking their colonies. The Vortani messages were more technical, but equally dismissive. Hive speaker Zach's reports described humans as primitive biologicals whose technology was inefficient and obsolete. The Vortani were already planning to study human colonies as examples of inferior species attempting civilization. "They both see us as their next target," Lisa said. "It gets worse," said Lieutenant Rodriguez. "Our deep space sensors are picking up movement from both fleets. They're not just fighting each other anymore. Some of their ships are heading toward human space." Lisa felt a chill run down her spine. "Show me." The main display changed to show a map of local space. Red dots marked Zephyrian ships, blue dots showed Vortani vessels, and green dots represented human positions. Lisa could see that both alien fleets were slowly moving toward the green dots. "How long before they reach our colonies?" she asked. "At current speed, maybe 2 weeks," said Commander Thompson. "The agricultural colony at Haven's Rest would be the first target." Before Lisa could respond, alarms started sounding throughout the ship. Lieutenant Rodriguez's hands flew over his controls as he tried to understand what was happening. "Captain, I'm getting a distress signal," he said. "It's from the civilian transport New Boston. They're carrying 300 colonists to Haven's Rest." "Where are they?" Lisa asked. Oh no. They're right in the middle of the battle zone. It looks like they took a shortcut through the disputed systems to save time." Lisa cursed under her breath. Civilian ships often took risky routes to save fuel and time. They usually got away with it because most alien races followed rules about not attacking non-military vessels. "Are they in immediate danger?" she asked. "I'm trying to contact them now," said Rodriguez. "Wait, I'm getting something. It's War Commander Krex on an open channel." The main screen flickered, then showed the reptilian face of the Zephyrian leader. His yellow eyes gleamed with cruel amusement. "Attention, human vessel," Krex said. "Your civilian transport has entered a war zone. This makes them a legitimate military target." Lisa stepped forward. "War Commander, that ship is carrying only civilians, families with children. They have no weapons and pose no threat to either side." Krex laughed, showing his razor-sharp teeth. "They carry supplies that could aid our enemies. More importantly, they represent the weakness of human thinking. You believe that calling yourselves civilians protects you from the realities of war. Please, Lisa said, trying to keep her voice calm. Let them pass safely. They're just farmers and workers trying to reach their new home. Their new home will be in space, Krex replied. This will serve as a lesson to other humans about the price of interfering in matters beyond their understanding. The screen went dark. Rodriguez, get me a direct line to the New Boston, Lisa ordered. I'm trying, Captain, but there's too much. Interference from the battle. I can barely wait. I'm getting something. Captain Lisa Martinez stood on the bridge of the USS Liberty. She watched the massive space station grow larger on the main screen. Nexus Prime was the biggest neutral station in known space. It looked like a giant metal flower with many arms, reaching out in all directions. Ships from dozens of different alien races docked at its ports. "We're here," said Commander Jake Thompson. He stood next to her chair, looking at the station. "Are you ready for this?" Lisa nodded. She had been preparing for this moment for months. The human government had chosen her to lead the most important peace talks in human history. Two powerful alien races were at war, and their fighting was getting close to human space. If someone didn't stop them soon, human colonies would be in danger. "Dr. Collins, what's our status on the alien cultures?" Lisa asked. Dr. Amy Collins looked up from her data pad. She was the ship's expert on alien behavior. "The Zephyrians are a warrior race. They're like giant lizards who walk on two legs. They believe that strength is everything. They think talking instead of fighting is weak." She scrolled through more information. "The Vortani are different. They look like big insects and think with their computers all the time. They believe they're smarter than everyone else. They think other races are too stupid to understand real problems." Lieutenant Sam Rodriguez turned from his station. "Captain, we're getting a message from Nexus Prime. They want us to dock at Port 7. "Take us in," Lisa ordered. The USS Liberty moved slowly toward the docking port. Lisa could see other ships. Already there, the Zephyrian ships looked like weapons themselves. They were dark and covered with sharp points and big guns. The Vortani ships were smooth and silver, with strange curves that hurt to look at for too long. "Those are some scary-looking ships," said Chief Mike Chen. He was in charge of the ship's computers and security systems. "The Zephyrians have enough firepower to blow up a small moon. And the Vortani ships are running computer systems we can barely understand," added Dr. Collins. "Their technology is at least 50 years ahead of ours." Lisa felt a knot in her stomach. She was about to sit down with representatives from both of these advanced races and try to convince them to stop fighting. Humans had only been part of the galactic community for 10 years. Most aliens still saw them as the new kids who didn't know anything. The ship finished docking with a soft bump. Lisa stood up and straightened her blue diplomatic uniform. "Remember? Everyone, we're here to make peace. We need to show them that humans can solve problems without violence." An hour later, Lisa walked into the main conference room on Nexus Prime. The room was huge, with a round table in the center. The ceiling was made of clear material that showed the stars outside. It was meant to remind everyone that they all shared the same galaxy. The Zephyrian delegation was already there. War Commander Krex was their leader. He was 8 feet tall and covered in dark green scales. His teeth were sharp like knives, and his yellow eyes looked at Lisa like she was something he might eat. 2 other Zephyrian officers stood behind him, both carrying weapons even though this was supposed to be a peace meeting. The Vortani delegation sat on the other side of the table. Hive speaker Zach was their representative. He looked like a giant praying mantis made of silver metal. His 4 arms moved constantly, touching different devices that beeped and flashed. His compound eyes reflected the light like mirrors. 3 other Vortani sat with him, all connected by thin wires to the same computer system. "So," said War Commander Krex in a voice like grinding rocks, "the humans have come to play peacemaker." He laughed, showing all his sharp teeth. "How amusing." "We appreciate the humans' attempt to help," said Hive speaker Zach. His voice sounded like it came from a computer. "Though we calculate only a 0.3% chance that primitive biological minds can understand the complexity of our situation." Lisa felt her face get hot, but she kept her voice calm. "Thank you both for coming. I know this conflict has been going on for months, but I believe we can find a solution that works for everyone." She activated a holographic display that showed the disputed star systems. "These systems have enough resources for both your peoples. If we divide them fairly and set up trade agreements, everyone can benefit." War Commander Krex slammed his clawed hand on the table. "Divide? Share? You speak like a weak child. The strong take what they want. The weak get nothing." "The human suggestion shows basic computational errors," said Hive speaker Zach. "They fail to account for 47 different strategic variables. Their primitive minds cannot process multi-dimensional resource optimization." Lisa tried again. "But think about the cost of war. You're both losing ships and people. Your economies are suffering. If you work together instead of fighting, both your peoples will be stronger." The 2 alien delegates looked at each other, then back at Lisa. For a moment, she thought she saw something like understanding in their eyes. Then War Commander Krex started laughing again. "Cooperation is for the weak," he said. "Zephyrians take what we want by force. That is the way of the warrior. Collaboration with inferior species would reduce our computational efficiency," added Hive speaker Zach. "The Vortani collective cannot accept such degradation." Lisa spent the next 3 hours trying different approaches. She showed them economic, data, population projections, and resource maps. She talked about the benefits of peace and the dangers of endless war. She even appealed to their pride, suggesting that the strongest races were those that could win without fighting. Nothing worked. War Commander Krex called her ideas the babbling of primitives who mistake cowardice for wisdom. Hive speaker Zach said humans were biological anomalies who lack the computational capacity for true strategic thinking. Finally, both delegations stood up to leave. "We waste our time here," said War Commander Krex. "The Zephyrians will settle this matter with proper warfare, not human foolishness." "Agreed," said Hive speaker Zach. "The Vortani collective will resolve this conflict through superior tactical analysis, not primitive biological negotiations." They walked out of the room without looking back. Lisa sat alone at the big table, staring at her holographic displays. Her carefully prepared peace plan had failed completely. Commander Thompson found her there an hour later. "Captain, we should head back to the ship." Lisa nodded and stood up slowly. "They didn't even try to listen, Jake. They think we're just stupid humans who don't understand how the galaxy really works." "Maybe that's exactly what they need to think," said a quiet voice behind them. Lisa turned to see Chief Chen standing in the doorway. He had a strange smile on his face. "What do you mean?" she asked. "I mean, maybe it's good that they think we're weak and stupid," Chen said. "People who think you're harmless don't watch you very carefully." Before Lisa could ask what he meant, Her communication device beeped. She looked at the screen and saw a message from Earth Command. It was marked with the highest security codes. The message was short. Diplomatic solutions have failed as expected. War has begun between Zephyrian and Vortani forces. Both fleets moving toward human space. Prepare for Phase 2 protocols. Authorization. Granted for Operation Ghost Protocol. Lisa stared at the message. Phase 2. Protocols? Operation Ghost Protocol? She had never heard of either one. But the authorization codes were real, and they came from the highest levels of human government. She looked at her crew members. Commander Thompson was nodding like he had been expecting this message. Dr. Collins was already pulling up new files on her data pad. Chief Chen was still smiling that strange smile. "Did you all know about this?" Lisa asked. "Captain," said Commander Thompson quietly, "there are some things we need to tell you about this mission, things that weren't in your original briefing." Lisa felt like the floor was moving under her feet. "What kind of things?" "The kind of things that explain why we're really here," said Dr. Collins, "and why those aliens just made the biggest mistake of their lives."